Six Nations 2021, round one, dream team, team of the week, whatever you want to call it. It's been a bit of an interesting week, interesting round. I've gone through and picked 15 players. I'll do a few honourable mentions as well. I'll go over their key stats and key moments and whatnot. You guys can let me know your thoughts. If you're looking for English players, maybe check out next week's video because that's probably not really on the cards in this one. But I've tried not to just pick French players because I know anyone who plays Italy, it's always the question mark of, well, they got, 2 tries against Italy, but realistically that's only worth 1 against somebody else. So anyway, we'll go over it. You guys let me know your thoughts. Loose head. I didn't have much of a choice in this one. I went with Wyn Jones. Played 66 minutes in the game of the weekend. He got player of the match, which is not an easy thing for a loose head prop to do. Generally, it's 10s and 9s and wingers and whatnot that get the player of the match. So you got to do something pretty special to be player of the match as a loose head prop. He had 10 carries for 44 run meters. Now, I did get these stats from the Six Nations website, which I am not, how do I put this? I'm not that thrilled with. I usually use ESPN, and I could have gone with ESPN stats. Six Nations stats do have more depth. They have more numbers, but some of them are a little disconcerting when I read them. Especially the run meters, I don't really buy. The ESPN stats are a lot more conservative with the amount of run meters they award each player. But I'll get to some other ones a bit later, and you can tell me if there's something I'm missing because I can't quite understand them. But anyway, if he really made 10 carries and 44 run meters for a prop, that's bloody impressive. He broke 1 tackle, 5 passes, and an offload. Silky skills. 9 from 9 tackles, including 11% of those tackles being dominant. Conceded no penalties, no handling errors, just the 1 turnover conceded being a slight black mark on his performance, but otherwise pretty bloody good. Hooker, I've gone with a Scotsman. I've gone with George Turner, and there was a fair bit of doubt about how he was going to go in the absence of McAnally and absence of Brown, but he put in a pretty good shift. Played 67 minutes, got himself a try assist, which is not a bad thing. 9 carries and 43 run meters. So what is it with these bloody front rowers and getting 40 plus run meters? That's not what they're supposed to do. 2 passes and an offload. 4 out of 5 tackles. Doesn't say anything about them being dominant. The line out for Scotland was 100%. And that's the one area people mentioned prior to this game. They said, he should do well. Around the park, he's really good. Scrummaging, he's good. It might be the line out they have a little bit of trouble. No. The line out was absolutely flawless. So, yeah, very good work. No penalties conceded. No handling errors. No turnovers conceded. Top stuff from Mr. Turner. Tight head, I've gone with another Scotsman. I've gone with Xander Fagerson. And I did try and jinx him by saying how good he was, him and his mate Sutherland. I really rate both of them. And based on that performance, I would say Xander Fagerson did pretty well. Him and Wyn Jones obviously both scrummaged pretty well. It's the number one reason you got to pick a prop, but it's hard to register that in the actual numbers. But 63 minutes for Xander, 8 carries and 26 run meters is a bit more realistic, what we expect from a prop. I know this 40-meter run business. He had a pass. 2 from 2 tackles is maybe on the low side. But remember, Scotland had pretty much all the ball in that game, so you can't expect them to have made that many tackles when they didn't have any pill. When they had all the pill, they didn't have to tackle anybody. Conceded 1 penalty. No handling errors, no turnovers conceded. Generally made the English scrum look a bit uncomfortable. I think the English scrum did get at least 1 scrum penalty. Likewise in that Wales-Ireland game, the scrum wasn't an area really for milking penalties where it was one side absolutely dominant over the other. But yeah, pretty good shift. So that's the front row. For the locks, I have gone with, and you guys who know me for a long time, you know I like try scorers, so I've gone with Tyke Byrne, not just because he scored a try. He played 80 minutes and scored a try, which is obviously a key start for him. He had 21 carries and 98 run meters. Now remember, James Ryan went off pretty early and Henderson came on. So it seems like that task of being the absolute work rate machine fell on Tyke Byrne, because usually it's James Ryan who leads the way with carries. 21 carries is just a mammoth shift, almost 100 run meters if you buy into the Six Nations stats powered by AWS. Broke 1 tackle, 8 passes and an offload. 10 from 11 tackles, including 9% dominant. So what's that, like 1 tackle was dominant? 1 a turnover. Did give away 2 penalties and 1 turnover conceded, but overall made himself a big old nuisance. Powered over for that try, some quick ball, and yeah, overall had a pretty good game. I rate him pretty highly. If you guys know me well, I do rate Tyke Byrne pretty highly. The other lock I've gone for is another guy who I tend to sing the praises of quite a lot, old Johnny Gray, and it's usually because he makes 1,000,000 tackles. That's usually the reason I love him. I'm a stats guy. I love seeing 30 out of 30 tackles, that kind of ridiculous number. But Johnny Gray, 80 minutes played, 16 carries for 52 run meters is more than what I'm used to seeing from him. It's one area of his game he doesn't usually get that much pay in, but broke a tackle, 4 passes, 12 from 12 tackles. Sounds low, and for Johnny Gray that's low, but all the Scottish tacklers were low because they had so much ball in that game. 8% of those tackles dominant. Don't do the maths, but is that 1 tackle that was dominant? 2 turnovers, 1, including one of those was a line-out steal. He had 5 line-out wins, didn't concede any penalties, didn't do any handling errors, did do 1 turnover conceded. But, man, the guy is a bit of a monster. You can see why Exeter was so keen to add him to their ranks, because he is a proper player. Hopefully he's put in a good shift for old Gats for the Lions tour, but still pretty early days for that. That's the type 5. For the Lucies, I've gone with a substitute. I've gone with Josh Navidi. Had a bit of an early start for him, seeing as Dan Lydiot got injured. 68 minutes played is more than most subs get in their games. He had a try assist. If you haven't seen that offload, go back and watch it. It's proper class stuff from him. He's such a good ball handler. 5 carries for 20 run meters is, in the scheme of things, actually pretty low, but that's still a good effort on most days of the week. 7 passes and that offload, like I mentioned. 20 out of 21 tackles. Now that's a team who didn't have the majority of the ball. 20 out of 21 tackles. He did have 1 penalty conceded, 1 handling error, and 1 turnover conceded, which was probably the handling error. But, man, what a shift. I wasn't sure if he was going to be ready to just kind of bounce back into the game, but sure thing, he did pretty well. Number 7, another one of my favorites. I swear I didn't just go and pick my favorites, but Hamish Watson. He is a beast of a man. He's not the biggest guy, which may not put him in the good books with Warren Gatland, but man, he carries like a guy twice his size. 80 minutes played, 13 carries for 52 run meters, 4 tackles broken. What was the leading guy so far? Was it 1? Was it 2? He broke 4. 4 tackles broken according to the Six Nations stats. Only the 1 pass, so he does like taking the ball to the line. Maybe you don't have to worry about the little chicken wing offloads like you do with Navidi. Maybe you do, maybe you just didn't do them in this game. It wasn't really the weather for it, to be fair, in areas of that game. But 4 tackles broken, 1 pass, 11 out of 11 tackles, and 36% dominant. 36. Someone do the maths for me. Almost, well, not quite almost, half a third. A third of his tackles are dominant. Now, again, I still have question marks about this dominant tackle thing, and I'll get to that a bit later, but I believe that one. He did win a turnover, was that key one at the end of the game. Nobody even seemed to see it. No penalties conceded, no handling errors, no turnovers conceded. Proper shift from Hamish Watson. I'll do some honourable mentions later because some other guys in that jersey number had good shifts as well. Number 8, I have gone with the Irishman CJ Stunder. He continues to impress. He really has a bad game, this man. Also played 80 minutes, 17 carries. Not quite as many as old Tyke Byrne, but 17 carries is still up there. 89 run meters is also a bit of a shift. Man, like when he puts himself, someone mentioned him as a barrel, when he just barrels up he barrels over people, doesn't he? It's what he does. 2 broken tackles, one of them would have been Faletau. He put him on his backside. 7 passes, 9 from 9 tackles, including 22% dominant. He won a turnover, which was a line-out steal. He had 1 penalty conceded and 1 handling error, but overall, CJ, in a game which at times got pretty ugly, he always made it look pretty good. So that's the forward pack. Couple of Irishmen, Scots. I've maybe been a bit hard on the French because I didn't put any of them in there, but it's hard with that game. I tried to limit the number of French guys I put in, just because if I just pick the whole French team, it's a bit rough. You know what I mean? England away is harder than Italy away. That's just a fact. But anyway, we will put a Frenchman here at number 9. Probably the first name off the team sheet these days, Antoine Dupont. He also got player of the match. He only played 59 minutes. They brought him off because it was pretty much in the bag. He had 1 try, 4 try assists. I can't remember the last time I saw 4 try assists. 4 try assists in 1 hour. 8 carries for 80 run meters, so he gets the average of 10 run meters per carry, which is a pretty good return. 2 broken tackles, 288 kick meters, 39 passes, 2 offloads, 4 out of 5 tackles, including 40% dominant. Goodness gracious me, what doesn't he do? 2 penalties, no penalties conceded, 2 handling errors, 1 turnover conceded. He is just a very, 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 very good player. And I think I mentioned it in the France review. So many times you can sing his praises before it just starts to sound a bit broken record, doesn't it? Anyway, now fly half, I've gone a bit left field. Forgive me for this one, but hear me out. I've gone with Paolo Garbisi for the Italians. Now the Italians got a shellacking, 50-10. But I still think his passing can use work. But I still think Garbisi had a pretty good game. Played 75 minutes, kicked a conversion and kicked a penalty. He had 15 carries. He's a running fly half, isn't he? He likes to have the ball in hand. He likes to keep the defenders on their toes, which is not a bad thing. And with Varney in there, it seems to be a good combo. And future-wise, it seems to be one that could pay off pretty well. 15 carries, 117 run meters. Very, very good return. 4 broken tackles. That's pretty good as well, man. That was one of the higher counts for broken tackles in the Italian game and for the weekend in general. 474 kick meters, 31 passes, 2 offloads. Now, it says 5 from 5 tackles, 80% dominant. Now, this is where I start to question. Garbisi's not the biggest guy. 5 from 5 tackles and 80%, so 4 or 5 were dominant tackles. I haven't gone back to watch every tackle that he made, but there we go. That's what it says. The black mark on his record is the 3 handling errors. But overall, man, kicked his goals, kicked from hand. Well, sometimes the kicking was a bit aimless from Italy, but I can't put that just down to him. Tackled all his tackles, offloaded when he needed to. So, I don't know, man. I don't really want to get into some of the other guys this week. But anyway, Garbisi is my choice. Other guys who maybe have bigger reputations didn't quite perform at the level we expected to. Maybe I'll just leave it at that. Left wing. Now, sometimes it's... I'm just going to put the initials here. Van der Merwe. Duhan van der Merwe. Sometimes you end up picking a guy more for that one moment than for the overall performance. Now, Van der Merwe is maybe one of those performances that week because he scored a pretty brilliant try that he had no rights to score. And in the scheme of that game, it was a match winner. So it's hard to go against it. 80 minutes played, scores a try, has 7 carries for 39 run meters. Now, I know he's a big ball carrier and does it very well, but 39 run meters for 7 carries in the context of the other players this week is not actually that many. It's actually pretty low. But 5 broken tackles this week is very, very high, and I would imagine at least a couple of those were in his try. 4 passes. Now, here's where I also get a bit confused. It says 2 out of 3 tackles, 166% dominant. How the hell do you get 166% dominant? Was his tackles that big that it counted as 2 dominant tackles? I'm not sure. No penalties conceded, no turnovers conceded, but 1 handling error for Duhan van der Merwe. Maybe there were other guys who had a better 80, but he certainly had a brilliant moment in helping Scotland win that game. If that's another winger, if that's, I don't know, Blair Kinghorn or Darcy Graham, I don't think they score that try. So, anyway, as much as I like both of those other guys. Next, and I've probably gone a bit Scotsman heavy, but it was a historic win. I have gone with old Mr. Redpath there at number 12. Pretty good debut. Beating England away from home must seem easy. 1 from 1 for him. 80 minutes played, 5 carries for 52 metres, 5 for 52. I know he had one particularly big run from memory, but 5 for 52 in terms of number of carries to number of metres is a good return. 2 broken tackles. Kicked for 44 metres. I would imagine that's probably just one kick, or was it 2? 5 from 6 tackles, including 33% dominant, so solid. 1 a line out, 1 a turnover. Did concede 1 turnover, but no handling errors, no penalties conceded. His positioning was good. Like at the international level, you'd think this is maybe a chance to expose him on his debut away from home, but he looked the business. There we go. Now I need to get some more French guys in here because the French played outstandingly well. They scored 50 points. I've gone with Vincent at number 13, and he's got some pretty good numbers if you're looking at his stats. 80 minutes played, scores a try. Pretty good try it was too. 9 carries for 100 run meters is a good return. Speaking of good returns, he has 5 broken tackles, which is also rather impressive. But again, the Italian defence at times was a wee bit poor. Just the 1 pass, which is maybe a little bit off, seeing as he's got 9 carries. So he had 10 chances all up, and 9 times out of 10, he was like, bugger it, I'm going up the guts. 15 out of 16 tackles is a good return, a very good return, really. That's a busy work in the midfield. 31% dominant of that. No penalties conceded, no handling errors, but 1 turnover conceded. There you go. Right wing, another Frenchman. They're coming thick and fast. I've gone, no question, with Teddy Thomas. 80 minutes played. Just a casual 2 tries and 1 try assist. I mean, compared to Dupont's numbers, it doesn't look as good, but it's still pretty flash. He's a magician in attack. 5 carries for 95 run meters is just ridiculous return. 7 broken tackles is the second highest of the week. I was going to say the highest. 48 meters kicked, 3 passes and an offload. Now again, you get the defensive stats with Teddy Thomas, not that impressive. 2 from 5 tackles. That's kind of the weakness in his game. But somehow it's got it listed as 140% dominant. I don't know how that works. Somebody who's good at maths work out why that's doing that. But I've got one better than that in just a minute. 1 turnover conceded for Teddy Thomas, but overall, I think you'd be pretty happy with him there. And no question about who is our final guy. You've got to go with Mr. Hogg, captain of Scotland at fullback. Very assured at the back. Player of the match in a historic win. Gets to lift the Calcutta Cup. Not for the first time, but anyway, as captain, maybe the first time. 80 minutes played. 13 carries for 112 run meters. Now, he gets some of those for free at fullback, but he also ran some of that poor English kicking back pretty successfully. 120 run meters, or 112 run meters, 367 kick meters, and some of his kicking was just phenomenal. He would just find space, 2 bounces into touch. England are suddenly back in their own 22. Absolutely top stuff. 8 broken tackles is the number 1 for the week. 8 passes and 1 offload. He was always looking to set up other people as well. None from 1 in terms of the tackles. So defensively a poor shift, but 800% dominant. Something needs fixing. That can't be right. 800% dominant from 0. I do not understand. I do not understand. So yes, that's the 15 from the Six Nations 2021 first round. Maybe I've been a bit hard on England, but England weren't really at their best at that game, that's for sure. Honourable mentions, I'll say George North at centre for Wales. Had a pretty good shift, scored a really good try. I think he was defensively pretty sound as well. Ficou for France. I've already got enough French backs in the lineup, but he could have also been added there as well. Henshaw for Ireland I thought was very dangerous. He's probably unlucky. I maybe could have snuck him in there ahead of Redpath, but maybe something it's about his debut. Maybe it's something about that Scottish victory that maybe made me a little bit biased. I don't know. Sperandio for Italy with that individual bit of brilliance try. That is worthy of a mention. In terms of Englishmen, Will Stewart, I know the scrum was under pressure, but I think he only got penalised once. So he was solid, made a bunch of tackles, but maybe not a lot more. But up against a pretty good Scottish scrum, not a terrible day at the office. I think he's probably going to get thrown under the bus a bit because he's not the biggest name prop in England, and that performance level overall from England was bad. But anyway, Sean Maitland was very assured for Scotland, helped keep some of the English guys quiet. Justin Tipuric, apart from that slip where he misses the tackle on Henshaw, overall was phenomenal. He made a 29 tackles or something stupid. Like really, really good effort from him as well. Olivon for France was into everything. He was in the set piece. Line out tackles, carries, did a bit of everything. He's probably unlucky I didn't pick him. Dulin was also pretty secure at the back for France and likes to run the ball back. Varney looked really lively for Italy as well. Keenan very safe at the back for Ireland. The list could go on, but I'm at 20 minutes, so I better hold it there. Team of the week for the first week of the Six Nations. You guys let me know. It's definitely not an exclusive list. It's just my one. Let me know who you would have had, who you think wouldn't make it in your squad from this list, and who you would replace them with, or just give us your full list. I'm always keen. There's always some really good lists out there of who you thought performed really well this weekend. Sometimes the stats don't do guys justice, to be fair. Especially props. Sometimes number 9, the stats don't do it justice. But anyway. Oh, I should have also mentioned the French fly half. Jalibert was also pretty good, right? Very assured. But maybe some of the other, like Farrell and Russell and Bigger, like none of these guys, Sexton, none of these guys really set the world alight in the other games, right? So it's hence BC. Anyway, better call it quits. You guys let me know your thoughts. Talk to you again soon. See you later.